Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at 9 games here on Wednesday night, Nate. And we are talking about the game that everybody's been waiting for, the Kyrie debut for Dallas in LA against the Clippers, big underdogs right now for the Mavs. We've also got another couple of videos up for you today, including our player props and the 76ers and Celtics game. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. I will say Nate wanted to talk about the Dubs and the Blazers. So if the Dubs do win that game, I will owe you guys all an apology tomorrow. Do with that what you will. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where you can get all the great written content we have for you up there and use that odds finder tool. Make sure you're getting all the best odds available from all these U.S. sports books, giving you guys NBA bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this slate and then talk about our game here, Mavs and Clips.
Yeah, we got a couple leans tonight that I can throw in there in addition to what we're breaking down. We got Pistons plus 13 at Cavs, Hornets plus 5 at Wizards, Pacers plus 7 at the Heat, and Spurs plus 10 at Raptors. Then the game we break down, Sixers are plus 4.5 at Boston, like the over on 224 total. Kings are minus 8 at Houston. Minnesota plus 5 at Utah. Lean under there at 236. The way the Wolves play defense, and if Rudy Gobert is in there against his former team. And lean Warriors plus 3. A little bit of plus money at Portland. Continue to get that lift without Steph actually sharpening their focus, I think, like we saw last time around in late December. This game, Dallas is plus 8 at the Clippers. Total is 220 as they roll in without Luka Doncic, but with Kyrie Irving pending a physical that he will probably pass. And, I mean, his props are already up. Books are expecting him to play tonight. 27.5 points for Kyrie. Josh mentioned his last debut with Brooklyn was phenomenal. 58-7 in 38 minutes. I believe almost hit a ridiculous buzzer beater in that one. So I think you can expect the change of scenery to do him well. And, the last 6 before the Nets just completely folded in Boston, which now we know behind the scenes, Kyrie might have already quit on his team or maybe decided during that game that he was quitting. He had a 138 offensive rating. He was just absolutely lighting it up with like 34 points per game, playing nearly 40 minutes in the absence of KD. And he's faced the Clippers twice with Brooklyn, averaging 33.5 in those games on incredible shooting splits per usual. So now without Luka, definitely gets the keys to the offense in his first one here. The Mavs have been playing better team ball without Luka lately in their last 4 here. Better, at least if you like a more freewheeling game. The pace is up to 97, which is very fast for the Mavericks in their last 4. They're getting 5 more assists per game, hitting more threes because they're spreading it out more. And their defense has been even worse. Plus the adjusted pace means overs. And I think the Clippers, this is another one where I think the total is a little low because they had been such under machines at home. They had the worst home offense for a while. They've played 10 of their last 11 on the road. So we just haven't seen much of that, since Kawhi got totally on his shit. And then they are just like looking like a great, efficient offense. We've only seen one home game, and they dropped 138 on the Spurs in that one. So the last 5 at home, in fact, I mean, they have 117 a game, 123 offensive rating, and their last 3 they've gone over. Hitting 13 threes at 40%, over 6 in 6 of their last 8 overall, with games averaging 233. And Kawhi is a guy I'm really honing in on, who's going to be a leading player props today. I was shocked to see his prop at 25.5. It should be 27.5 or higher. He's just absolutely cooking. And look at the matchup against Dallas, which, like I said, is just floundering right now defensively and on the wing. And then now they trade away Dorian Finney-Smith, who is absolutely their best option to guard Kawhi. He's played them twice this year, once with DFS, once without. It hasn't really mattered. 31.5 points per game on a 168 offensive rating. And in his last 8 against not Milwaukee, which we correctly called would be a bit of regression for both guys, 30.5 points per game for Kawhi. 30 plus in a win is over plus 250, is over plus 210 at FanDuel. worth consideration because there's just nobody to throw at him. I mean, Josh Green played really well in this Luka-less game here for the Mavs, and maybe he tries to guard Kawhi, but Reggie Bullock was absolute food for him in that game without DFS and when he came off the bench. So that's why I lead towards just high efficiency here. Even if the pace is below 98, I think we do get over. And I mean, I think Dallas, you get that boost. We saw them beat Utah without either of these scoring guards. I think you're going to continue to get that boost to say, we made a trade to make us contenders, to give us a chance this season. And that's going to continue to galvanize guys for at least one or two more games. So that I would lean towards them covering. I mean, especially after the Clips failed to cover against the Kyrie-less Nets in their last one. I have a hard time taking them to cover 8, but I think the over is my preferred one here.
Yeah, I have a really hard time getting them to cover 8. It's one of those games where I do think it's going to be back and forth on offense, just to sort of back up everything you said there. And in that sense, like anything could really happen. It could be, a game where the Clippers are kind of up or hovering around up by like 4 or 5 and it's staying close. And maybe down the stretch, there's some free throws and it gets close to 8. I think it's probably accurately, placed in terms of the spread there. The total, I do like the over as well. I think you should believe in what has been happening for Dallas with Luka out, especially on the road in their last 4 without Luka on the road. Kind of mentioned a little bit of it, that 115 a game that they're scoring and the 120 a game that they're allowing with that 124.5 defensive rating, still playing at the same 96-ish pace that they play all season. But getting some big contributions on offense, like you said, from Josh Green, and Spencer Dinwiddie was kind of balling out and doing his thing as well, which I think you can expect from Kyrie tonight. Same kind of concept. When Dinwiddie was in there without Luka, he was, scoring 24 a game with a 31.5% usage rate versus 17 points a game and 21% usage rate. There's got to be somebody who's the sun that is that this whole offense revolves around, right? And that's obviously going to be Kyrie. It's kind of Kyrie no matter where he is. So it's even going to be more so him and Jason Kidd's offense. And so I think you can definitely, like some points for him tonight, especially when you look at what he did, like you said, in that first game versus a really bad defensive Minnesota team, much worse than you're going to see in this Clippers team. But still, Kyrie is Kyrie, and I don't think there's anybody on the planet who can necessarily shut him down as much as slow him down. There wasn't as much, hate when he left Cleveland to go to Boston, so maybe he wasn't fueled quite as much when he dropped 22, but he had those 10 assists as well, just sort of showing that like when he gets into a new place, I think he's ready to show out, especially because he knows the best place to quiet everybody is on the court, to make them forget about the ridiculous things he says when he's off the court. So I think you believe in the Mavs' inability to stop anybody without Luka. With him, they're a little bit better. I think they're just without Dorian Finney-Smith, especially. This is gonna be a really, really rough game for them on defense. I think it's gonna be a really rough rest of the season for them on defense, as a lot of people are predicting. They're still making 15.5 threes a game. You got Christian Wood, who's also doing his thing to the tune of 4 more points a game without Luka. 12 boards versus 8 boards when Luka's in there, which is huge because they're not making up for the boards that Luka's not when he's not in there. So when they're playing without Luka over the last 2 seasons, you're talking about them getting 6 less rebounds per game, and they're already the second or worst rebounding team in the league, right? Without Luka over their last 5, they've been getting 29 rebounds a game, mostly because they're not stopping anybody from scoring each time down, as teams are scoring almost on every possession, but also because they're not getting any rebounds and ending any possessions either. So it's all bad there, just leading to points, and that's why I don't really want to mess with the total, because to be honest, I would take Dallas to cover if I was going to take a spread in this one. But if you do the total where it's at, and I guess really I'd like to parlay it as well with the money line for the Clips. But if I'm sitting here saying that I don't trust them to cover 8, I'm basically saying I think the Mavs can win this game with some crazy Kyrie nonsense on the court, and I really don't want to bet against that happening. I just want to bet that there will be more than 220.5 points scored.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is no Luka being out there more than anything that Kyrie might do is that you've put in some of the numbers, the recent meetings between the Clippers and the Mavs, and it's all just such a cat and mouse game. It's so slow paced. It's so much Luka countering what they're doing to guard him. And that's why it's this low scoring drag out game, and this is just going to be totally different. Like, this is a completely different constituted Mavs team. We don't know how it's going to look when both of those guys get in the lineup, but with just Kyrie, we should expect this to be a much more fun style to watch, honestly, and definitely more high scoring. And I think the Clippers have started to hit their stride offensively as well. So yeah, that's why I agree on the 220 here, more than anything in terms of picking a winner.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I almost forgot that I did see in their last 4 matchups, the pace is at 91.6, and the game is averaging basically less than 200 or so, 205 per contest. And that is a direct result of, like you said, Luka being in the game in those contests, and that's just not the case right now. He's not having to, it's not going to be him weaving and doing his thing, trying to get between guys on this Clippers defense. It's just going to be Kyrie trying to cook from everywhere. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Hope you enjoy this game, as we're definitely going to be watching this ourselves. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can check out the other game video and our player props. And until we see you next, happy betting.